Justin Francis from Responsible Travel.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I love listening to entrepreneurs and meeting entrepreneurs because they're such passionate and opinionated and positive and sometimes contrary people. So that's what I'm aspiring to be too. I'm going to try and tell you my story as best I can. In 1991, I gave up my job in an ad agency to head off to Africa, which had always been my dream. I flew to Nairobi with very little money, and my plan was to travel down to Cape Town in South Africa. And I ended up traveling by public transport, kayak, bus, walking, any which way I could. And through that, although I didn't know it at the time, I formed a set of beliefs about what was important to me about travel, which was a connection with local people and respect of local people and of the environment. And 4 years after that, I was working at the Body Shop for Anita Roddick, which is has been a great breeding ground for entrepreneurs and ethical entrepreneurs, and was really inspired by Anita that, frankly, that I could make money and be ethical at the same time, if that doesn't sound too shallow. But it wasn't a question of choosing between profits and principles. I could run a profitable business and have a really strong set of principles as well. But after a while, I began to get a little bit restless and I wanted to do my own thing. And I think that restlessness is something which I've seen in a lot of entrepreneurs. And I went to see a guy called Rick Corcoran, and American guy, headed up the HR department. And he said, Justin, imagine you were in a helicopter and you were hovering a mile over your life and you look down on your life. What advice would you give yourself about your life? And it was the right thing to say to me at the right time, because it just all became absolutely clear. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to be an ethical entrepreneur, and I wanted it to be travel. And it was wide open because there wasn't a lot of ethics in travel. I thought I should know something about it, so I started out on a course, a master's degree. My vision of myself was sat in an eco-lodge, chatting to locals and watching elephants, and I thought that would be a great life. But the course tutor said to me, he said, you're a marketing person. Use your skills that you've had from your previous career and background and apply that in travel. And so somewhat reluctantly, that's what I did, and decided I wanted to create a place where people could find amazing trips, amazing places to stay, all of which had the same sensibility that I had about responsible travel. What I found with it, as soon as I sort of gave voice to my dream, the world conspired a bit to make it happen. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs since, or wannabe entrepreneurs, who've got a great idea. They never quite managed to tell everybody. And I think what I found is once it's out there, everyone kind of wants to pile in and help you make it happen. And that's what happened to me. I was almost doing it before I realized that that's exactly what I wanted to do. Now, the next bit was to think of the name, really, and it isn't exactly an innocent, is it? Responsible travel. I mean, it's the marketing guy in me told me it was death on wheels, and I thought of 150 other names. But in the end, I thought, well, let's just do it. It is what I want it to be, and I felt that I could make it something inspiring and something different. And started out. In 2001, it was not a good time to be launching a .com because they collapsed. It wasn't a good time to be launching an ethical business because no one believed in ethical business. And it wasn't a particularly great time to launch a travel business either because it had been a lot of terrorism and attacks. So there was not a lot of support for us to start with. And what I did is I put just a little bit of savings that I had from the Body Shop into it. In my experience, there's nothing that investors like more to see that you put your own money in and you've got something that's beginning to work, which is what we did. Since then, I went back to Anita Roddick and said, Anita, what do you think? It looks like it's going all right. And she and Gordon invested in the business, which was absolutely fantastic. And they've been a great support. More recently, we have had venture capital backing from a business called the Southeast Growth Fund, who've been great to us, and they invest in early-stage businesses in the southeast of England. When I started, it was me in my front room. I couldn't afford to pay anybody to work with me. 2 people came to me and said, we're going to work for you. They didn't really offer me a choice. They just came and said, we think it's a great idea. I couldn't pay them, so what I did is I equated what their wages would have been over the first year, and at the end of that time, I gave them some shares in the company. Some people will tell you never give away shares, control as much as you can. I felt that I wanted to have great people in the company, and I'd rather have a smaller piece of something bigger through the endeavours of those great people, and it's paid off. Because if there's one critical thing about being an entrepreneur is you've got to recruit better people or as good a people as you are, and that's a key skill of an entrepreneur, and I lucked out basically with these two guys. We launched in 2001. We had just a few holidays on the site. I was spectacularly unprepared to do it. If you think being a manager in a medium or big-sized company in terms of the Body Shop prepares you, you're not prepared. You've got to think about how to do everything for nothing, basically. And it's fantastically creative. It really focuses the mind on what you need to do, and that sensibility has stayed with us. Where are we now? Well, we're one of the fastest-growing travel agencies in the UK. We'll sell about £20 million of holidays this year, which is double what we've done last year. We've gone from 6 staff to 16 staff in the last year. Along the way, we've campaigned. We campaigned against Thompson Holidays, which I thought they... I kind of had this idea because the Body Shop campaigned that everybody was used to businesses campaigning, but they absolutely freaked out and went absolutely bananas at us and put heavy pressure on us to stop our campaign. More recently, we put pressure and campaign on the government to try and find an appropriate way to constrain the growth in air travel. And I think we've also, having been the first business ever to start talking about the words responsible travel, now I'm most proud, I guess, that we're part of a movement which is far bigger than us. Governments, the industry, journalists, and they're all talking about responsible tourism. We're also profitable. And nicely profitable, which I'm also make no bones about, and I'm proud of too. My tips, just to finish with, for any entrepreneur would be declare your dreams, get it out there, don't keep quiet about it. I think someone once said that aging is not the passing of years, it's the distance between you and your dreams, and I think that's never forget your dreams would be something I believe in strongly. Get good people. Absolutely vital. The third thing is something that Gordon Roddick told me. He said, assume your business is going to take twice as long to launch as you think. It's going to cost twice as much, and it's going to make half the profits. And if anybody out there has done a business plan and then looked at their business, they might recognise that story. And then the last thing is something that my brother said to me, which he said, remember, it's a marathon and not a sprint. There's a temptation to go at it hell for leather, and you're not going to conquer the world in 2 years. You want to be there in 10 years. You want to be doing a great job in 10 years. So remember that, and get a home life and keep some balance as well, which is important. Thank you so much for listening. It's been great to talk to you.
Thank you, Justin. It's great to hear somebody who's realised all of their dreams. It's great.